Ruth St. Denis was born in 1879, and this American dancer is called the mother of the modern dance. And she was a very mystical person, and besides this, she has a very Hollywoodian conception of bringing her dancers into the stage. She used a lot of background and lighting, and it was not as simple at all what she did. And her most important people was the later Martha Graham, which you mentioned. This dancer was better informed than we could believe. She herself says about the dance Radha,
I made a dance with a Buddhist theme, danced by a Hindu goddess in a Jain decor.
So she was very well aware of the mixture that she was making, but she used it for her own purpose, just to make an interesting dance. And if we see that her early dances are 1906 is Radha, 1906 is the cobras she made after having seen a snake charmer in the exhibition. And then incense is a dance which used a lot of these arm movements, which were not very Indian. The yogi she made after she has taken some yoga classes in her tour in Paris. And Noch, 1918, same year, a scene of an Indian temple. And 1 year later, dance of Devadasis. Same year, street of Noch dance. In 1925, she made a tour in India, and she came to Madras. I've been trying to find a trace of her in old newspapers, but up to now, I didn't find anything. A very interesting dancer in this field, I'm not going to talk about all of them because there have been so many of these people who have remained unknown, but this one became well known. Her name was Mata Hari, and unfortunately she died. She was executed because she was supposed to be a spy during the war. But this is not our concern. She was in Paris in 1905, and she sold herself as an authentic Hindu dancer to make an appearance, imagine, in Musée Guimet, in the museum itself of Eastern art. And she did that on many other occasions. She is very clearly influenced the dances of Java, where she stayed, because she was Dutch. And she never learned to dance. And even in Java, she never learned to dance. But she must have been reading books, and she had a lot of fantasy, as you will hear.
I was born in south of India, on the coast of Malabar, in a holy city called Jaffna-Patnam, as a descendant of a family of a sacred class, the Brahmins. My father, Suprachetti, was named Asivardham because of his charitable and God-fearing spirit. His name means blessing of God. My mother, who had been the first dancer of the temple of Rangaswamy, died at the age of 14, the day I was born. After her cremation, the priests adopted me and baptized me Mata Hari, which means Eye of Dawn. Ever since I made my first step, they enclosed me in a large underground hall of the pagoda of Shiva to initiate me into the holy rites of the dance. Of my early years, my memories conserve vague souvenirs of imitating the movements of the dancers. I spent the afternoons walking in the garden whilst assembling the jasmine garlands needed to ornate the prayer altars of the temple. But with the coming of puberty, the great mistress, who saw in me a predestined creature, decided to offer me to Shiva and to reveal to me the mysteries of love and religion on the evening of the Shakti Puja in spring.
Yeah, this is I think, very nice fantasy of Mata Hari. But she danced almost nude, or she took her veils off, and I have some slides to show you how funny she put on a kind of Indian costume, which didn't look at all like an Indian costume. But this dancing nude, which you see a lot in Hindu dances or Oriental dances, of course it was inspired by the fact that nudity was not something wrong, it was something beautiful. And people liked a lot the Greek sculptures, and they also liked a lot the Indian sculptures, and the Indian sculptures are not so much dressed. And so that's what they imitated. And there was nothing wrong about it, because here is a statement of the famous writer Colette, who saw Mata Hari, and she really loved her. Colette herself was later a nude dancer. They were not always completely nude. They used to wear on stage a very skin-colored dance dress under their jewelry. They used to wear a lot of jewelry. It's better you see the slides. So Colette has seen Mata Hari in Paris.
I have seen her ever since she first appeared in Paris at her appearance in the house of Issy, slim between the pillars of a temple, naked and slender as she was. She hardly danced, but she could uncover herself slowly whilst moving a narrow and proud body in broken lines. At a Hindu festival she could again be seen in a garden, always naked. In the plain sun of June, she was seated on a large white horse, the cover of the horse and the horse color set in a real turquoise. The color of Mata Hari's skin was amber gray in the evening and changed in the daytime to light gray. Invited everywhere, paid everywhere, she appeared naked, danced with a downcast gaze, and disappeared again, wrapped in her dark veils.
Her dances have names like Dance of Subramania, Dance of Shiva, and the Magical Flower. And in 1912, she has actually accompanied by a real Indian orchestra, that of Inayat Khan, who toured a lot in Europe and in America and had a big influence on all these artists. Before I go on with Hindu dance, because I want to show you an imitation of an Indian dance of 1926. Before that, I want to show you some movements coming out of a mime. What happened was that these dancers used to dance to short pieces. These pieces had names, and some of them had Indian names. They were Indian pieces. And there was partly dance, partly mime. There was mostly a theme. We could understand what it was about. And from this mime, which is of course very close to Abhinaya, except there is no bhakti in this mime, was developed an interesting art, separately developed from the dance. And it has developed into what we call in the West mime. And very often it is forgotten that once this was completely connected with the dance. You must imagine the dancer has to put on for every other dance another costume, because that was the theme of her dance. So she had to change costumes every 3 minutes because these pieces were very short. So I want to show you some movements of mime and how they are done today and how I find them related to Abhinaya. The contrepoids is a movement that looks a little bit like an Indian movement.
It's the Tribangi. A boat. Oh, she's pulling the rope. She's ringing the church bell. walking on the spot. She's walking on the spot. She's climbing the ladder. She steps. She's walking on the step. Now she's climbing the ladder. Now please see what she's doing for yourselves.